We're here at a botanic gardens in Sydney, and today we're going to explore 3 very different underwater worlds. We're going to explore a freshwater pond, which are all the way up over here, and then we're going to have a look in salt water, like the beautiful ocean we have here at Sydney Harbour, and then we'll have a look at some brackish water in this pond right here. Brackish water is a mix between fresh and salt water, just like Goldilocks, who tasted too hot, too cold and just right porridge. Different underwater environments are just right for different creatures. So to find out more about these different underwater worlds, we're going to do some pond dipping. Pond dipping's great because you can learn about all of the creatures in the water without having to get wet. Before we start, we need to gather our equipment though. We've got our buckets, our light-coloured trays, a magnifying glass to see them with because sometimes they're tiny, and of course our dipping net. And this one's really special. It's only got very tiny holes in it. None of the animals can escape. Most importantly, I've got my eyes. Okay, let's go dipping. So you just dip the net in the water and make a figure of 8. It's really important that you have an adult with you when you're doing this. And then we can see what's inside. Oh, it doesn't look like we've caught anything. Well, it is winter, but I really want to find some little creatures to show you. So I'm going to use a bucket to speed things up so that nothing escapes. Well, my friend Stephen has come today to help me investigate these different creatures that live in different water, and he is a water scientist. Okay, let's see what's in the salt water.
Most of the saltwater creatures are very, very glassy and so don't show up much.
I'm going to take a closer look. Why are they so see-through?
Well, if you're out there in the sea and you're dinner, you don't want them to see you, so...
So they look a little bit like the water around them?
They look like the water around them.
Okay, let's see what's in the brackish water.
In the brackish water, there are likely to be baby crabs, baby prawns, baby lobsters, baby snails. This area works as a nursery for them.
Let's see what's in the fresh water.
Today, we've got freshwater worms in here.
What would happen if we put them in the brackish tray?
If it's not too brackish, they can survive there for a while and they'll go back, if they can, to the fresh water.
What if it was in the salt water?
All the water that's inside them gets drawn out and they just crinkle up and then they pop.
Oh, Stephen, I can see the freshwater's got all these little plants in it.
These are duckweed.
Oh.
They're tiny little plants that live on the surface of the water to get the best go at the sunlight it can. Thanks
so much for your help, Stephen. I'm going to go out now and test just how salty this water is.
Thanks, Lindsay. Bye.
So our little worm friend hated salt water. Fresh water was just right for them. So what we're going to do is test how salty the water is in each of the ponds. This is a hydrometer, and they're really amazing. All you need to do is fill them up with water, and the saltier the water, the higher the needle floats. So fresh water is fresh. It doesn't have any salt in it. So that means the needle has nothing to float on, and the needle sits right down the bottom of the scale here. So let's have a look at the brackish water, the in-between water. Ooh, this is interesting. The needle is just above the bottom, and that tells me that this brackish water has a little bit of salt in it. And now the salt water. Let's dip the hydrometer. Oh, wow, look at that. It's actually reading 32. Wow, that's salty. Previously on GetClever, Faye and I showed you different ways to learn about salt and fresh water. And we also showed you how to learn about the different animals that live in those environments. Right now, we're going to introduce you to a slimy genius. I'm going to check in with Faye. Faye, are you there?
Hi, Lindsay. Yes, I'm here in Centennial Park with my friend John. Where are you?
I'm in the botanical gardens. Where did you find your eel?
Mine's in a freshwater pond. How about yours?
I haven't found him yet, but I'm at a brackish pond. And if you remember from last time, brackish is a mix between fresh and salt water. I'm going to get in so I can have a closer look at the eels. I've got to put my legs over the side. Be careful not to slip in.
Mine's much more likely to be a girl eel and yours are much more likely to be boy eels because girls prefer fresh water. Hang on a minute. Did you say that you're in the pond?
Ooh, it feels weird. Feels all cold, yuck.
Gross. Good luck. Ugh. Oh no, John, we've just lost our eel. Lindsay, we've just lost our eel. I'll check in with you later, Lindsay.
Oh, I can feel things moving all around me. I'm a bit freaked out. Oh, I got a fish! Oh, I've got one! Oh, it's so slimy! Oh my goodness! It's not happy at all. It doesn't want to go in the bucket. All right. Okay. Oh, there's one. Oh, it's a little one. It's lovely. Okay, hello, lovely.
Hello.
Stephen, I caught an eel.
Good.
Hello, eel. Most underwater animals can only survive in either salt or fresh water, but eels, being the slimy geniuses that they are, can change and adapt to whatever water they're in. And here to tell us more is Dr. Stephen. Okay, we've got it. I'm holding it in my hands. It's very slimy.
Well, part of the reason it's so slimy is it's got this oily stuff on its skin, like snot, and the slime's important.
And that's because it helped these eels, which started out as eggs in New Caledonia, travel all the way from the Coral Sea off the northeast coast of Australia to the Botanic Gardens here in Sydney.
And as those glass eels sail down the coast of New South Wales and Queensland, they start to fatten up and go into the bays. They become the teenage eels, and the teenage eels run up into the fresh water and they become adult eels. And as they grow, their gills change from a fine feathery gill to a thicker, fatter gill that can absorb hard-to-get oxygen from fresh water that they're going into. And as they become adults and their diet starts to improve, these fellas become spottier,
Ooh.
they become slimier,
Oh.
and they develop their front gills. Then when they get onto land, not only is
Land? A fish that goes on land?
a fish that goes on land.
Wow. Slimy genius. So I call it an adult eel.
Yes, indeed you did. See how spotty it is?
Wow, it's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Thanks so much, Stephen. I better put it back. Bye-bye, eel. Thank you. Hi, Faye. Did you catch any of that?
That's really impressive, Lindsay, but I'm struggling to find an eel down here, and I can kind of see why they say it's slippery as an eel.
The challenge is on.
Don't you worry, Lindsay. I've still got a few eel tricks up my sleeve. I'm here with Dr. John, who's an ecologist. John, what is an ecologist?
Ecologists do research on plants and animals. I predominantly do research on birds and mammals in bushland habitat and urban environments. I'm at the Royal Botanic Garden in Sydney, and I do research actually across Australia. I really enjoy being outdoors. I really enjoy being in the bush. That's why I got into science and natural sciences. When I'm in the middle of nowhere, I might be in a wetland, might be canoeing and kayaking all day, or I might be walking through forests doing surveys of birds and mammals, or trying to catch some rare species. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes there's early starts and late nights, but it's all worth it. I think catching powerful owls is one of the coolest things I've ever done. They're such an impressive bird, such powerful talons that there was a real risk factor in there as well.
So how did you catch the owl?
The owls are territorial, so at the right time of the year, we go and we play their owl calls. That attracts the owls to the area. We've put up a net to intercept the owls, and we trick them into flying into the net with using their own calls.
What's the worst part of your job?
Sometimes we do really early starts and really late finishes, but I'd have to say I prefer being outdoors, so that's okay. Sometimes having to sit at the computer writing and doing analysis, so mathematics, can be tough.
And what's the weirdest thing that you've ever done as part of your job?
One of the things that's really interesting is what animals are eating, and sometimes you actually have to look at what they've eaten to discover that, so looking at pellets and scats.
So that's poo and vomit.
Exactly.
What inspired you to become an ecologist?
Being able to work outdoors and learning more about the threatened species. So we've got a big issue in Australia with a lot of threatened species, so trying to save them is really important.
Well, you really do have a cool job. Thanks so much, John. Previously on GetClever, Lindsay did some pond dipping to find out which animals live in saltwater, freshwater and brackish water. And if you remember, brackish was a mix of salt and fresh water. To show you how different saltwater is to freshwater, we're going to make our own hydrometer with things from the house. And this is what you'll need. A jug with a litre of water in it, a measuring cup and some scales, a nut, some scissors, permanent markers, some clay, a straw, a ruler with a blank side on it so that you can draw on it, some masking tape, salt, and 3 glass cylinders, and a hot glue gun. The first step is to take your ruler and turn it onto the blank side. And then you want to take a permanent marker pen and mark a line about 1/4 of the way up and write water on it. Now take your straw and cut it to size. You want to make sure that it's shorter than the ruler. Step 2, take your hot glue gun, but be careful because it's really hot. Now you're going to glue the nut on just above the water line. Remember to work quickly because it dries fast. Press the nut down so that it stays in place. You want to take your straw and a lump of the clay and mould it around the bottom of the straw so that no water can get in. With your masking tape, write labels for each of your cylinders. Freshwater and Bondi Beach, and the third one is Shark Bay. So now you want to fill up each of your cylinders with 1 litre of water. Take your straw with the clay on the bottom and place it into your first cylinder. Take your ruler with the nut stuck on and carefully thread it over the top of the straw so that the line sits on the water level. Once you've done that, take your marker pen and mark where the top of the straw falls. And this is our fresh water line, just like water that comes out of the tap. Now we're going to make salt water or seawater, the kind of water that you find at Bondi Beach. Take your salt and your measuring cup. We're going to measure out 34 grams of salt because the water at Bondi Beach is around about 3% salt. There we go, 34. Take a spoon and stir it into your Bondi Beach cylinder. Bondi Beach water is salty at 3%, but it's nowhere near as salty as the water at Shark Bay in Western Australia. That's 7%. So I made this up earlier and I added in 70 grams of salt. So let's measure how salty Shark Bay is with our hydrometer. I'm going to use a different coloured marker pen to write SB for Shark Bay so that I know where that comes to. And last but not least, we're going to measure Bondi Beach. Now, where's my hydrometer? Oh, I left it in Shark Bay. There we go. Okay, so carefully thread it through your ruler again and place it into the Bondi Beach water. And with another marker pen, we're going to mark the top of the straw again. And we can see it comes to just below Shark Bay. So there's not much difference between 3 and 7% in salt, is there? So there you have it, the difference between freshwater and salty water. And you can make this hydrometer to test the water near you too. And you can even use your hydrometer to test out how much sugar is in your fizzy drinks.
I'm on the hunt for Australia's most deadly animal. It's known as the drop bear, or its scientific name, Thylactis plummetus. And I'm in a drop bear hotspot right now. Drop bears are native to Australia, and they're a predatory, carnivorous distant relative to our modern-day koala. Ugh, definitely not a koala. They have evil little beady eyes, super sharp teeth, and those claws could cut through anything in seconds. They use their muscular legs to spring off from trees and land on unsuspecting victims. There are a few ways to keep yourself safe from a drop bear attack. The threat is real, people. Just remember to look up at regular intervals, wear a hard protective hat, and keep your wrists and elbows protected. For further protection, hop on one leg. This will fool the drop bear into thinking you're a kangaroo. Taking these simple precautions won't guarantee your safety, but they will give you a better chance of getting by without a drop bear dropping in on you anytime soon. So just remember, look up and stay alive.
Previously on GetClever, Lindsay and I went on the search for what we've affectionately named the Slimy Genius. Now, Lindsay got into the pond with her eels. Amazing! And she found out some even more amazing facts about our mutating friends.
Then when they get onto land, not only is
Land? A fish that goes on land?
a fish that goes on land.
Wow. Hey, Faye, I'm still in my waders. I'm still hanging out in the pond looking for some eels. And I've got to say, my eel facts were pretty impressive.
That was really impressive, Lindsay. But quick question, is it right that the eels make their way out from Sydney all the way to the Coral Sea to have their babies?
That's right, Faye. They swim all the way out of the harbour, past Queensland and up to the Coral Sea. I don't know about you, but I don't think I could swim that far.
No way! That's 40,000 laps of the swimming pool. But Lindsay, how do they actually get out of the park?
Good question. Mine have got to make it from this pond all the way to the harbour, and that's 20 metres. They don't even have legs.
But Lindsay, my amazing female endurance athletes have to travel 6 kilometres in order to get out of Centennial Park. And they have to do the equivalent of a serious obstacle course in order to get out to the ocean at Botany Bay. The eels leave Centennial Park, travelling across the park and underneath Randwick Racecourse. Eels actually slither along the ground some of the time, but they prefer to travel through stormwater drains and other bodies of water like these. The eels travel south to Kensington and then across to East Lakes. When the eels get down to Botany Bay, they start to change so that they're ready for their saltwater environment.
Let's catch up with John again to find out more about these fabulous freaks.
So they like to eat insects and small fish and even small birds, don't they?
Most definitely, I have seen them eat ducklings, and they'll even eat carcasses. They're actually cleaning up a lot of the dead animals that might be in those water bodies.
Are they going to try and eat me?
Look, let's hope not, but no, you're safe.
They have got small teeth though, haven't they?
They definitely do. They grab the animal and actually twist their body to rip off a chunk of flesh.
Ooh. Lindsay, are you still listening? Did you get all of that? Pretty cool, hey?
They're super cool, Faye. I think it's a tie.
No way! Mine are better. They travel way further than yours.
Yeah, but I got in the pond. I'm in my waders in the pond.
I know, and maybe we should have got in the pond too.
Maybe.
But I did buy my gumboots especially, and, well, you know, mine are just better.
Mine crawl across land.
Mine do too.